Welcome to episode number 7 of The Ghost of Real Estate. I'm your host, Tim Galligan, and today we have special guest, Lula Lukas. Lula, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, my pleasure. So would you like to start off? Tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and how you got into illustrating and ultimately comic books.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you. Usually I'm on the other side of the camera, so it's really awesome to be here with you. And I think you're doing such an amazing job, by the way.
Thank you.
Your show is awesome, and it's really inspiring. A lot of good stories so far. And it's really hard to follow up right after, I believe, Gary Brown. You know, I remember walking in here. It was such an amazing story.
Yeah, he was great.
Oh my God, what a moment to walk into to hear his story. So, so I am new to Titan Media and Titan Studios, which your show is being produced at right now. And I'm so grateful to be here. We are about to launch so much right now, and shows are starting to happen. And my background is art and drawing and illustrating and digital media, marketing, you name it. So as technology starts to advance, I love to always be on top of that and just learn. You know, education is such a big deal to me. And I broke into the comic book industry about 2 years ago. So
Nice.
Basically a full year with COVID happening, that kind of pushed things back a lot, and I was really on my way up. And so you are kind of interviewing me now at a point where, you know, we're about to open up again and things are starting to look better. The vaccine is coming out, and so everyone's starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So hopefully I can really jump back into that world.
Nice.
Definitely. With Comic-Con not being able to be open this year again, probably, that's devastating. So, but little shows will start to happen, little events like that. So I'm looking forward to that because I really miss my fans.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, as a kid or as a child, were you always like doodling in school? Were you always drawing? Is it something you always had interest in, or something you kind of picked up?
Yeah, I was always the kid, the cool kid, you know,
Right.
drawing for friends. It definitely helped, you know, growing up in Brooklyn, being able to survive in, you know, different schools and neighborhoods and stuff like that, you know, because I moved around a lot. So my way to make friends was always like to draw pictures, you know, and or drawing graffiti and tagging up someone's notebook, you know, putting their name.
There you go.
So it definitely helped me survive. And so yeah, I was always a kid that was able to draw good. And then I went to school a little bit for it, but I'm really not formally trained in drawing. I'm all self-taught. And I was always a pencil artist. And until probably 2018, I always wanted to draw digitally. And I never really had the chance to, or the, I guess, the extra money to go and buy like
Right.
all the special programs or the computers and stuff like that. And then I started to realize that the iPad Pro, you were able to pretty much get some really cool programs in there, such as Procreate, and you would be able to professionally, almost get to a professional level to draw. So my husband bought me an iPad Pro, and I started to play around with it, and I got to show you some of, and I will show you, you know, some of the first drawings. It's embarrassing, but I came a long way in such a short period of time.
So when you say digitally drawing, is that like I have no idea what I'm talking about with anything in the art world, but is it like, for example, like Toy Story or like Disney Pixar or something like that?
That's the highest, like that's one of the higher levels.
Right.
You can't really do too much on the iPad to get to that level. You can animate with the iPad Pro and stuff, but you definitely need much bigger machines for that level. But drawing on glass, basically, that's what the iPad is. Yeah, and that's very difficult for seasoned and professional artists to do. I've given my iPad to some of the artists that I've met at, conventions and stuff, just so that they could feel it. Because there is a barrier, you're so used to your own tools, your inking tools, your pencils, that it's so foreign that why would you want to even go and try it? But I've given it to them to hold it, and I just want people to feel it and learn, because I've even had the opportunity to teach kids at a library where they gave all the children different iPads so I could teach them how to draw Spider-Gwen. So I had on the big screen a whole lesson plan, and all the kids were able to kind of go through my phases and the layers and all that kind of stuff, and how to start from scratch, how to draw her. And it was in a half-hour session, and the work was beautiful. I have another picture I got to show you and give to you, but it was so cute, and I love doing that. So I like to learn and then also share what I learned, because if I could do it, I feel like so many people are out there that maybe they just have that negative dialogue in their head, that maybe they're not good enough or they can't do it. And if I just showed them that I could do it, you can do it too.
So you said, I know we were talking a little bit before, and you said that you had started off with illustrations, not necessarily comic books, and then comic books is something that you grew into. Did you identify an opportunity where that could be your niche, or was it just something you happened to be good at? How did you identify that and move forward with it, and then ultimately get recognized?
So I always loved comic books growing up. I grew up during the 90s, so those were my teenager years. What a time to grow up, right? Think about it, all the sports that, the best of the best. We had everyone, Michael Jordan to, the 49ers, and like everything was awesome. And then we also had a big boom in comic books because of the death of Superman. And that really drew a whole new generation into these much more splashier pages in comic books. And then in the early 2000s, that's when all the movies started to happen. Spider-Man 1, 2. So I was always around that, and I loved it. So I found an opportunity to get into the world because I visited a comic book shop that I knew of in Ronkonkoma. And I knew the owners. I know the owners there. They're great people. And I found out that there were little conventions that were happening, little shows that were happening. And they told me about it. And they were like, why don't you get a table? Why don't you just go show your artwork? Because I have tons of artwork that I did when I was younger. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You think I'm good enough? They're like, absolutely. So from there, I actually took their advice, and I had a table and, a few little pictures, and I made one sale, $10.
Nice.
And I was like, oh my God. I just felt great to be there around other artists too, and get to learn what it's like, because I'm, as an artist, I'm a little introverted, and you have to now learn how to speak to fans and talk to them about your artwork and come, share that. And it was pretty interesting. So I was discovered there by another convention promoter, and he really said that I do have something, and I should be able to be at his show. And now we're talking at a higher level where I'm going to be next to DC and Marvel artists, professional artists that have been around for the last 30-40 years. And I'm just this new person coming out of nowhere, underground type of person. And it's like, I'm like, what are you talking about? You think I could really do that? They're like, absolutely. You need to be there. You belong there. So I listened to the advice. I got more confidence. I started drawing even more. And I showed up, and that was the thing. The more you show up, the more doors open for you. Right. The more you connect with other artists that are like you. And that's one good thing about the comic book community too. We're all in this world of we relate with each other. We understand that we probably came from backgrounds where people were probably not the nicest to us growing up or whatever. So we kind of always want to lift each other up and help each other.
Right.
And all those artists that I met from that first show, I still am connected to.
Really?
I still talk to them. They contact me. We help each other with, references, or maybe they need help with, the new technology that's out there right now in such a short period of time. And especially in COVID right now, the art industry it's not doing well. Obviously they're not able to go to conventions and to promote the work that they're doing, their new Kickstarter or anything like that. Right. So it's a really tough time, and that's hard on artists because you need to create, you need to express what's going on in here,
So how have things changed from the 90s to now? I mean, in the 90s there was still paperback, right? Newspapers. Yeah. I mean, there's obviously some newspapers today, but more tangible versus today. It's more on the internet. How has that changed the landscape of comic books as a whole? Has it tremendously changed it, or not so much?
Well, there's a couple of types of fans out there, or comic book collectors. There's the comic book collector that has to have that copy, that tangible paper copy. Right. Then there's one that will have it. Then there's the other comic book collector that needs to have the digital print and the actual. And then there's like the person that kind of just walks into the store once in a while and they just want to buy like the latest or the coolest cover, That was me in the 90s. Like that's, and I'm not a comic book collector, even though you would think I should be and everything, but I'm not. There's not enough time in the world to do that. So that's the only difference, is that people, we're lucky and we're fortunate to be in New York, so we're used to having comic book shops around us, or easily we can just go there. But think about the whole country. You need to get the digital or order it, online. But the beautiful thing about comic books too, just to bring up a really cool fact, because I've been to Singapore and I've been to Thailand, and when you go across the world, it's so awesome to see our comic book characters, our Wonder Woman, our Superman, in their world. It's like universal. They love it, and it brings us all together. It's the bridge, Right. So they may not know who our government officials are, but they definitely know who Wonder Woman is. Right. And that's amazing. We create it. It's ours. These are all our American characters. So and nice. Stories that will live forever.
So is it more of a people who are consuming? Is it more of a collection thing, or is it more of people buying mixed. Into actual or mixed?
Mixed. Right. You got the regular fans, or you got the dad that wants to really build that bond with their kid, bringing them into these shows, talking about Spider-Man and what Spider-Man was to them when they were growing up, and now what Spider-Man is today. Then you have the young girls that will come to my table that are like, you don't really see too many women. There are plenty of women out there now, more than ever, that are really breaking into this industry, and it's amazing. But at conventions, you'll see it's very few, but it's changing, and that's awesome. Really awesome. And you'll have those girls coming up to me and saying like, I really want to get into this, and I'll help them. That's I'll talk about my story and give them some, shortcuts and tips and stuff. But breaking into it, I'm so brand new, really, really brand new. I was fortunate enough to get requested to do a commission. And the commission was for Vampirella. And that commission, the way it works is you get hired by a comic book shop to do an exclusive cover for their shop. So this is going out mainstream. There's a regular cover A or cover B, and so on. And then there's exclusive variants. So it's like making it the most limited of limited,
Wow.
Yeah.
Like a whole underground
operation. And that's what's great, because it gives artists that are like me, they kind of have like their finger on the pulse of what the local area likes, or the style. Right. And it gives them a chance to put their art out there and share some of their expression in the characters that were drawn by some of the most famous artists ever. And it's really cool. Vampirella has been around for 50 years, and there's been some amazing artists that have drawn her, and it was a great honor to be able to do that. And so what's amazing is that in such a short period of time, being able to draw her and not even put the art out, my variant cover was almost sold out before the people even saw the art.
It's unbelievable.
It's insane. It's like, wow. Who am I? It's like, I'm so lucky. And there's a hashtag out there, Lucky Lula, for a reason. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, I always put it out there in everything I share. So, did you want to see my cover?
I'd love to see it, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first time that I'm actually holding my slabbed certified cover.
First time you're holding it.
Holding it and sharing it with the world. I've only seen pictures of my fans, holding it and sharing it. So it's a 9.8, and you can see.
Now, what does that mean, 9.8? What does all this stuff up there mean?
So it'll tell you the actual. It's a CGC Signature Series, and there's two like major brands that do this. I won't say the other brand, but I don't really want to get into that. But it'll say the title, who the publisher is, Dynamite Entertainment 2020, and my signature is on it, and the Get Slabbed Comics edition. So that's the company that hired me to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's
this is the actual. Is this
this is the actual comic, and it's sealed in here, so that it helps with the value and keeping, the condition and for collectors.
Right.
And especially since it's limited, this is like my rookie card, So, so I drew everything. So sometimes in the comic book industry, especially, there's a team of artists. It gets the work done quicker because you're on such a deadline.
Someone who's doing outline, someone who's coloring.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
Someone who does the concept, the pencils, the coloring, and then also the editing. So this cover was done all by me, and I had to do the background, outline.
Wow.
Everything's on my Instagram that you can see the process. I like to share the videos and stuff like that.
Now, is this a digital drawing?
Yes.
Okay.
This is all digital. I did pencil sketches of it and stuff, but I did it all on my iPad.
That's unbelievable.
It's insane that,
How long does this take to draw?
It took a while because I wanted to really hit it out the park.
Yeah.
It took me a good amount of time, but it's very meaningful to me.
I bet.
Now Vampirella usually has bangs that are very tight and blunt. I wanted to bring in a whole like swoop bang into her hair. I also wanted to bring in a little bit of my nose into her because I had a really big complex growing up my nose. I was like Bambi growing up. I was very lanky and everything, it just didn't fit. So I was like, you know what? This is going to be something I have to look at forever. I think it's important that I give her something of me. Why don't I do that? So
awesome.
Anyone that owns it, now they know the importance of that.
So when is this from? When was this released?
It was released in, I believe, October 23rd.
Nice.
Sorry. It was signed by me on October 23rd. So what's really cool, it was released in end of August, but I had to do a signing. And when you do a signing, you have to actually have a witness with you. And that's why I'm pointing to this. This is a certified...
It's like a notary almost.
Certificate of authenticity from Royal Collectibles. So Royal Collectibles in Queens had me at their location. So we had an actual signing, and I was there until midnight signing away. And then drawing. Some people want artwork drawn on there that actually lifts up the value even more.
Like a little sketch or something?
I had to draw one guy, which I one day you'll see him because I'm gonna do a video on him as well. But he asked me to do a chef hat on her.
Really?
Because he's a chef. So it's very unique and very very special. So
that's a lot to ask. You're sitting
it
there
was
signing
hard.
Things and you draw a chef hat.
It was very difficult to
Wow.
draw, but and this was all done during COVID. So a lot was done online where people were making these requests on Instagram on their stories.
Wow.
So as Royal was sharing it, people were like, "Can she draw this? Can and they were selling."
Oh, you were doing it virtually.
Virtually.
Wow. Gotcha.
There were a couple people coming in, socially distancing and being very safe. Of course, especially in October in Queens, it was a little hectic then. So yeah, it was amazing.
So how many copies of this are out there?
500.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow.
They're all sold. They're all gone.
Wow. So now those are sold. So collectors obviously buy those and then hold on to them.
And then they sell them eBay or
Then
privately.
they resell them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also digital copies that people can get. What is that?
But I don't think I have. No, this wouldn't have a digital version.
Got it.
Yeah, the main version has it, but I'm inside the book too. I do have my artwork. They had a page of all the different covers from different artists, which is kind of cool because the main one that gets pushed out there, my art's in there too. So
nice.
It's pretty amazing, for a kid from Brooklyn who taught herself
That's
how to draw.
So Dynamite Entertainment. So how does that work? Again, I know nothing about the industry.
No,
so
it's cool. I didn't know either. So
Marvel, obviously, everyone.
Marvel's the biggest.
Okay.
Marvel and DC are the there's like the big four, let's call them, and it's Marvel, DC, Image. They came up. There's a few.
So there's like different
studios
name brands
and major brands. Yeah. So.
Got it. And then each brand has their own studio.
Yeah. So their own publishers.
Got it. Got it.
What's different now is like there's a lot of freelance artists out there.
Right.
That are killing it because of social media.
Right.
Right. So now you don't have to you can interact with them directly, and you could literally say, I would like you to draw this or that, and commission them, and they're making a killing out there because of social media. So there's no agents involved, and there's no.
It's direct to the artist.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And when you also do conventions, you can literally talk to the artist and say would you be able to draw this for me or
Right. So what's the ultimate? What would be the dream, the goal as a comic book artist? What does that look like to have a specific company? What are they called? Marvel is called.
Marvel and DC are the main publishers.
Publishers.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to get commissioned by a publisher.
Well, I mean, as a kid, you'd always want to go and be an artist to work for Marvel, right? I was fortunate enough to actually show my portfolio to Joe Quesada, who was the chief editor at the time in early 2000s. And I actually showed him my portfolio, and he went through it. And it was pretty interesting, especially then to have this master, right, artist look at your work. And as he's flipping the pages, he then stops. And he stops at a Snake Eyes that I did, which I'll show you a picture of as well. And he kind of paused, and my heart was pounding. I was like, oh my God, is he going to rip it apart? And he literally said, you're good. You just
That's
need
awesome.
some discipline, and I was so young at the time, and there was no way I could go to a school that is in Jersey called the Kubert Comic Book School. It was just too impossible for me to travel there, and it was very expensive for me to do that. So I put things on the side, and I put it to the side and everything. And then because of COVID, they had to pivot, and they went virtual, and I took some classes with them, and I took some story building, comic book narration during the summer of 2020. So, and I'm also very close with some of the people that are amazing and work there and stuff. So it's funny how things, even though life happens and maybe things pause, I was able to go back and still use it and bring my life experiences and my skills right back in full circle. And it was a dream to be able to do this. And I plan on continuing to do it. I do have a few other covers that are coming out.
Nice.
Yeah,
wow.
So those are in the works.
Which character
Everything's
is that
on
of?
pause, but I can't really talk too much about it right now. Right. One cover is for Disney. Disney actually has comic books and stuff like that, so I can't. Those aren't released yet.
What about I assume Disney has some drawing things or even for their movies or posters of the movies or things like this. Are those done by artists?
Yes, absolutely. So one really cool thing that I did a few months ago, actually, it's such a blur because of COVID. Time is flying, but I was able to reach out to this awesome group called Women in Animation. because that's the next level, right? You learn narration, you learn comic books, which are the foundation for filmmaking, you know, because you have to do storyboards, you have to really understand how to bring a script into this world and now make it visually appealing and really engage the person. And I always wanted to get into film and always wanted to get into animation, all that. So I reached out to women in animation, told them my story and how, you know, my everything is just flowing, and I think I really found my calling and stuff, and I think this is the next level. And they linked me to another organization called Rise Up, and they gave me a 2-hour session mentorship via Zoom with an artist from Pixar who worked on Zootopia, Frozen.
Really?
And we sat there for 2 hours just, you know, talking about all these opportunities that I could get into, critique my work, gave me great feedback, the things that I need to work on and steps that I could take. And it was just so amazing to talk to somebody at that level.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
And the goal of a huge company like Pixar and Disney, what they're trying to do, and they're trying to get more women into animation and help them, because by 2025 their goal is to have 50% of animators be women. Right. So right now they're close to like 10 or 20%, and their goal is to definitely like make an impact with that.
I might have to be your agent.
Oh, okay.
So,
no, well, but it's so funny, like all this is happening, and then guess what? I find this position with Titan Studios, like, right. And then look where we are today. It's just like, it's amazing how, like, now I'm behind the scenes and working with Mike and Rich Cave and the Pink Tie organization and all the great work that they're doing. And now we're doing so much, like, with videos and the production, and it's like limitless.
Right.
Everything's just flowing together, and I'm glad that I'm able to bring my perspective and my life experiences as a comic book artist, which is so extremely unique. You can't find that pretty much anywhere. I'm sure in your life,
No.
you know, you've never really spoken to someone in my situation. So I feel like I bring a lot to the table.
So I've actually never thought about this. So when I'm watching a Disney movie, let's use Toy Story for example, because that was was that the first fully animated movie?
I feel like one of the first ones. Toy Story changed it, you know, like it went to like Shrek, like, you know.
So how does that work now? Because I never thought about it. I thought it was just plugged into a computer and it kind of just went.
No.
But apparently that's not the scenario of how this works.
Storyboards first, of obviously concept and story writing, all that. There's a whole team that does that, and then they have to do storyboards to match it. And I can tell you what I've learned is that the storyboard artists, they probably draw thousands of images and they throw most of them out, you know. So that's their goal, is like these little thumbnails or they just draw knowing that this is probably not even going to make it, you know. So no detail, just pure action to the point. And so it goes to that, then it goes into another world of like drawing, and then they have like the animators, you know, which is more into the computer world, but everyone's an expert at what they do. So one person could be just an expert on hair, one person is an expert on skin.
Got it.
Then there's a person, I mean, and I shouldn't say person, there's teams of these people that are working on it, and it could take 2 years to get one movie out.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
So, but that's what's really cool, is that Disney knows or most of these companies, they have it where teams of people are specialized in that area, focusing on that. Everyone kind of like stays in their own lane, you know. Right. So
Disney is their own publisher as comparable to Marvel or another company. So
Disney owns Marvel now.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. So, I forgot when it was. It was a couple of years ago. But
Disney just owns everything.
You should look that up. It's like, you'll be amazed.
Yeah. ESPN, right?
Everything. So, but it's good, because think about, for example, Disney Plus right now, how awesome it is for kids and families and
yeah, my wife is their #1 subscriber.
Well, yeah, I like it. I really do enjoy it, and the fact that I could go and watch my old cartoons and stuff, and then also watch the new stuff that's going on. So it's pretty cool. So you had a story I wanted to touch upon, though, really quick, because I know we spoke very briefly. I like to ask people about, the characters that they like growing up and stuff.
Right.
Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, the
your
Ninja
favorite
Turtles?
character, yeah.
Yes, I'll tell you the story in the background. You have to bring it up.
I'm sorry, is that okay? I want to talk about it. I thought it was very
I was
interesting.
telling you, I've never read comic books, never been a comic book collector, but I watched a ton of the Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was younger, I was down in Florida. I was young. I was like 7 years old, 8 years old, and I had been down by the pool by myself. I guess my parents were on the lounge chair, whatever they were doing, and I was running around, and I slipped and I smacked my head on the concrete. And I remember opening my eyes, and there was just a ton of lifeguards all around, and they said, "Son, what's your name?" And I told them, I said, "My name is Donatello Galligan." And they announced it over the loudspeaker and everything, but I was obsessed with the Ninja Turtles. It was the coolest thing of all time.
Yeah.
And every single toy, everything.
I know. It was a big, again, 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
It was such a great time growing up. So for having me on your show, I have a gift for you.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is very unique, and I'm sorry it's not in a frame, but I did it last night, and I did it really quickly. But
nice. I love it.
So it's a
That's incredible.
pencil sketch for
Thank
you.
you very much.
All
Wow.
right. You're welcome.
Very cool. I'll show it to the
So-
camera.
Thank you for having me as your guest.
Very cool. And thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions about, actually, I did want to talk about one thing about being part of, coming into this whole Titan media and with Pink Tie. As soon as I started, one of the great things that I was able to work on a project was the MVP of the year. You know about the MVP of the year
Tell us a bit more about
organization.
it.
Yeah. So it's something that, it's a Pink Tie initiative, and it helps raise money and awareness for different causes that are related to, someone like Mariano Rivera. And I was so fortunate enough to be able to help be a part of this project, and because he's trying to raise money for a STEM learning center in New Rochelle, and our team helped put together this whole project, and for a gift to the team members, we wanted to actually give them a drawing that I did of Mariano Rivera.
Really?
So I did that, and at the event that we had earlier in October of 2020, we gave them this picture to keep, and Mariano actually signed it.
Really?
So yeah, I have it here if I'd like to.
Nice. You're full of tricks.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Full of surprises.
Yeah. So this is the one that I have.
Wow.
And
this is awesome.
Mariano actually signed it. So it says, "Thank you, Lula, all the best." And it's a signature on there.
That's
Isn't that
very,
cool?
very
And my
cool,
signature is on there too.
Wow.
So I thought that was really awesome.
That is.
So my cave got it signed from him and gave this to me. So it was really nice. So all of the actual team members did receive the team leaders, receive this, and so now they have that. So each team has their name. So like as
Right.
an MVP of the year team name. But it was such a beautiful event. It was so nice, and it's still going on. Obviously, it's paused with COVID and everything, but it's such a great event.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much
You're
for coming on the
welcome.
show. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, how can they reach you? Social media? You have a website?
So yeah, the best way, especially if they could possibly reach me, through Titan Media and Titan Studios, definitely. I'm also my Instagram is Love by Lula, and you could definitely check me out there, and reach out to me if you like my art. Definitely comment, like it, share it. And then if also you need any help with marketing or help with, video production, we're definitely excited to talk to you and have you come over and check out our studio, our new studio, which is an awesome place to definitely produce your next podcast or show, just like you are, right?
That's it.
So
awesome. Lula, it was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
you.